Well, thank you for tuning in for Kiki with me. This is a very special episode. We have the founders of LSG Tulsa, and they give us everything from their personal experiences to their thoughts on the queer community. And we even get some really good tea at the end. So stay tuned and enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kiki with me. I'm your host, Kaylin. I'm just your friendly neighborhood black bisexual girl talking about everything LGBTQ alike. And today we're going to dive into conceptions about what it is like to be queer in the middle of America, because everyone just thinks that we have cowboys, diners, and high cholesterol. And we do, but we have a lot more as well. And no one would know that better than a couple of the guests that I have today that I'm very excited about. It's the group that basically should be sponsored by U-Haul at this point. I've got Lesbians in the building. Lesbian Social Group Tulsa. They're an awesome, awesome organization. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves really quickly.
Would you like to go first?
My name is Shuna. I am the founder of Tulsa LSG, which is the acronym that we use because Lesbian Social Group is a bit of a mouthful. I do most of the digital outreach, event planning, social media management, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm Tori. I'm here. I mostly handle things like logistics for the group. Whenever we have events, I make sure that the right things get to the right places and parking is figured out, and also
the security butch.
Yeah, security butch. I make sure that everybody there is safe, and also try to encourage a good time, I guess. I don't know.
I think you also helped me moderate the social media.
Oh, moderation. Yeah, moderation. That's an important.
You actually helped set up the podcast thing, so.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was you.
Cool.
So you're also one of the moderators.
Period.
Yeah.
Brought you to me.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I love that. What made you, Shuna, want to start LSG Tulsa?
So.
It's kind of a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
When you look at the local queer organizations, I don't know. I don't want to name anybody because I don't want to put anybody on blast on a podcast because they are still providing valuable services to the community. But when you look at their, program itinerary, there was 0 lesbian specific affinity groups, no lesbian support groups, nothing like that. There was also very recently a case in Oklahoma where, through a very messy divorce, a lesbian woman had all of her parental rights terminated by the court at the request of her ex-wife. And even though she had been in the presence of her son for 5 years, his entire life, they ruled that since she was not the biological parent, and because she did not legally adopt her son, she was not a parent. She had 0 guardian rights. She was a stranger in the eyes of the court. So because of that case of judicial lesbophobia, because she also was a more butch-presenting woman, now all queer parents in Oklahoma, if they did not give birth to their child, they have to go through the very lengthy process of legally adopting their kid, which is also, people say you can just go through the courts, get it done, whatever, but it does depend on what judge you're dealing with, what district you live in, what is their personal beliefs, are they going to be allowed to prevent you from adopting your kid with your wife just because they don't think that lesbians should have children, when you leave it up to small individual judges, it leaves so much room for more discrimination across the state. And nobody was talking about it. And it just felt like we were being used as symbols within the community. Everybody likes to talk about how lesbians showed up during the AIDS crisis to work as nurses. Everybody likes to when they post photos of historical lesbians, they're always at a protest. They're always doing some sort of labor for the entire community whenever they're being referenced. But people are very hesitant to give us our own space, to uplift us, just us, without like inserting themselves into like the entire thing or having to be very explicitly constantly included no matter what we're saying. Like I've said before the podcast started, a lot of the core members of LSG aren't even lesbians. You know, they're bisexual and pansexual women. But their dedication to uplifting the lesbians around them and to celebrating lesbianism, to encouraging like us to form these relationships with one another, you know, that's what we've needed. But it just feels like everybody's always asking what we can do for them. And this was a very common thought throughout like the few different lesbian couples that I knew. So I had some of my friends from Tahlequah drive all the way up to Tulsa, and like some of my friends from like the more BA area drove up into Tulsa, and we got together in my apartment in like, I want to say 2021 or 2022, I can't quite remember, like late one year, early the other. And it was just like 4 couples and like 1 single lesbian, and that was like the social group. And we spent the entire time talking about how like just great it was to have this kind of camaraderie. Like for the first time, we all could relate to each other's experiences. There wasn't somebody in the room who, when they couldn't relate, they got a little defensive or something like that. You know, it was just, you could word vomit. You could be very honest. You could just talk about how annoyed you are that no matter where you go, everything seems to be catered towards men or anything like that. And it just seemed very healing for all of us. So we kept doing it, and in October 2023, we had our first like public gathering at the Starlight Bar. We love the Starlight. It was at one of their like Friday the 13th parties, and we just had like a little corner of the dance floor that was nothing but gay women, and the DJs caught on and played Not Gonna Get Us by Tattoo.
Some like Kim Petras like moves in there. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think at one point they also slipped in I'm Gonna Take You to the Gay Bar. And this is like a goth club, so these are not like
the Electric Six doesn't exactly fit in, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really great.
Yeah. And I think we're really lucky in Tulsa to have Yellow Brick Road.
Yes.
It is one of 30 lesbian bars remaining in the country. One of them is right here in little old Tulsa. And it's always been a hot spot for the community. But when you talk to elders in the community, there used to be like other lesbian bars in town. TNA, for instance. And the community used to be a lot more vibrant, and over the past couple decades we've lost a lot of that vibrance, and I think that's really what we're trying to bring back. We're trying to build a community that can like rebuild that vibrance and those strong connections, and you know, and I think it's that kind of community that eventually creates the groundwork for people to do bigger things. Yeah,
it feels like we very intentionally work outside of any local institutions or anything like that. We're very specifically socially focused. We think that, well, we know that everybody feels very, very disconnected. I do our outreach on the Her app, so LSG has a Her account.
Oh my gosh.
And I
just got triggered.
I know. No, I am the local Her warrior. I am blocking and reporting so many unicorn hunters, don't worry. It's
nice.
me, the guardian angel.
We've met them.
Yeah, the amount of people who just do not respond when I tell them about LSG and just silently follow. You know, we're very, very timid. I think the political atmosphere around here makes us a lot more timid, which is unfortunate because, I mean, personally, I've had a very easy time navigating Tulsa in like nightlife and being very, very openly.
Tulsa's very gay.
It's very, very
Tulsa,
gay.
Oklahoma, as a resident Oklahoman, Tulsa, Oklahoman, who's been here for almost 30 years, Tulsa's very gay. It just can't, still in a very conservative state, and it's a very tricky situation. But yeah, Tulsa's
It feels
very
like
gay.
we get to have an experience that's kind of like what I imagine. I'm only 26, so this is what I imagine it felt like kind of in the early to mid 2000s, where the social atmosphere isn't as overtly hostile towards us, but at the same time, institutionally, there's still so much pressure. They don't really want us highlighted. Like a local bar that usually participated in Pride every year is under new ownership now, and they are no longer engaging with Pride, like taking their Pride flags down and everything like that when they used to be known as like a local queer spot. So we're still kind of in a spot where our queer social infrastructure is in its infancy. We're still trying to develop the new spaces for the kids that are about to get out of high school to age into and stuff like that. Like YBR only got rebuilt like 2 years ago or something, like after a fire.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when they reopened about a year ago, I think. Getting close to that now. God, that was a big, at least for me, I cried my ass off when YBR burned down.
That was when I realized what it was, because
yeah.
There's a place right next door, Curiosity, which is like the local head shop that my wife and I have been going to since we were like teenagers, just for like, they have like fairy statues and crystals and other stuff like that. We showed up one day and like the bar across the street was burned down, and we were like, what the hell happened? And the people inside were like, oh yeah, the gay bar next door. And we were like, that was a gay bar? Nobody told me.
Yeah.
So that was annoying. But it also, it feels like the sentiment is that a lot of queer women out here think they're alone.
Yes.
And there are a lot of us.
No, a ton.
Like,
why do you think there is such a again, it's like middle America. I do feel like there are misconceptions about being queer in middle America, but it is really hard to organize. It is hard to feel safe organizing, and I do recognize that. But that being said, there is LSG. There are other like grassroots queer organizations, in particular in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Why do you feel like it's so like not only stagnant, but it's not unified? Why do you feel like we haven't really come together?
I have multiple opinions.
Period. Go off.
There is a bit of me that is very 36 and thinks it's them damn phones.
Listen, you don't look a day over 21. Don't do that.
But I do feel like there are a lot of people who misinterpret like social engagement online for actual engagement, and I don't think that it's real engagement, to be honest. Like I think that the only way to really feel connected to a community in a non-superficial way is to actually engage with it in person. And I think the disconnectedness of the community is largely a symptom. It's the same symptom as the disconnectedness of everyone else. We've never been more alienated than we are now, despite constantly speaking to each other all the time. People are working more jobs than they ever have, especially young people. So a lot of their time is taken up. A lot of people are exhausted. I think there are a lot of things standing in the way of making it like easy to build an interconnected community. I think there are so many factors that it's difficult to pinpoint it on one thing. It's just the perfect storm of keeping lesbians at home, Yeah, and it sucks. It really does. Because we used to be wild. We used to be, like, can I cuss?
Yeah, go for
We
it.
used to be real fucking wild. We used to be absurd, and it was a lot of fun. But
I recommend that everybody watches the documentary Blood Sisters if you want to get a glimpse into just how crazy lesbianism of the past was compared to how it is frequently represented today.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it on any? Is that on any streaming services?
I'm actually not aware if it
Okay.
is. It may not be because it is technically verging on an adult film in certain ways. It's about the lesbian S&M scene of San Francisco in the 90s.
I think we'll all be looking into that very shortly. Everybody's typing like, "Blood Sisters." Yeah, incognito tabs on the phone. Like, let's look into that just in case. Oh my gosh. No, I completely agree, and I think that you guys are really doing a lot. I genuinely feel like you guys are doing a lot of really great work, and selfishly, I need you guys to host another speed dating event.
I'm working on it. We were very, very lucky, and we are constantly grateful to work with the local venue, Mass Movement Community Arts. I'm just going to plug that venue a bit. Aaron is a pretty good dude. I've been going to shows that he's been putting on since I was like 18 or 19 or something like that. So is my wife. My wife at one point was even homeless, and he would let her in for free, knowing her situation and stuff like that. So I would consider him a pretty like good ally to multiple different marginalized communities on that front. He worked with us to give us a bit of a bargain on the cost for the venue, and it also ended up being almost a little too small. So I have a few, me and Logistics Butch here have a few nightmarish things to work through sometime, but that will be definitely in the summer. The first things to come back next year will definitely be the intergenerational picnics. We did our first one quite recently.
so much fun.
It was so much fun, and it was so great to see just like, I mean, there's nothing more validating than seeing how much other people also needed this community.
You know, living in the Midwest can definitely be a unique experience. We definitely have our own culture, our own challenges, and our own sense of humor, believe it or not. But that's why these moments matter. We are here as a queer community to share our stories, laugh at our struggles, remember that everything is better when we can do it together. So like, subscribe, and continue to come back because we're gonna have a lot more really awesome and fun guests from the queer community from all different walks of life who are gonna give you their hot takes, unpopular opinions, and probably some support and validation as well.
We are so severely underrepresented in our genuine vastness. You know, when you see lesbians on TV, we're rarely over the age of 25. We're almost always very thin, very white, or very middle class, bare minimum. You know, I grew up in a rougher area at one point. Like, my family always had to have a roommate. I had local PD swap my house growing up because he started using again to a degree that was incredibly unsafe when there's a toddler in the house. And the only way to protect the kids in the house and make sure that my parents didn't get their parental rights revoked because of unsafe situations, stuff like that, they just swatted the house. And there's not any representation for lesbians who come from these really aggressively just kind of bleak, lower income households. And I find that that's the majority of us.
Yeah.
So part of the lesbophobic problem is that we don't get to see ourselves age. We don't get to see ourselves exist, which means that it's not just harder for ourselves to accept who we are, but it's even harder for like our parents to accept who we are. You know, like men experience homophobia, absolutely. Don't misconstrue what I'm about to say. But there's also shows like Queer Eye, where gay men show up and fix your life. There's
Yes.
Gay men were also the first to be positively kind of represented in TV for me growing up. I never saw lesbians really humanized, like just casually in non-queer specific TV shows. You know, so when your son comes out as gay, you're like, there's even the joke, you know, oh, he'll be a hairdresser or whatever. But when your daughter comes out as a lesbian, there's just this void where her future is. You don't know. And I think that fills our parents with a lot of anxiety in a way that other people may not experience, just because our parents legitimately can't see our future for us. And I think that's like, yeah, I went on that rant a little bit too long, but I forgot where it started from. But that was the...
No, you are so... That's so valid and that's so understandable. And I do think that that's like, even to your point of
that's
like...
where the connective dot is.
Yes, the
Being
queer
able to envision our
elders.
future. There we go.
I think that when I do watch queer people online, it is people who are in their maybe 30s or even 40s, because I like to see them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know the teeny boppers are teeny boppering on TikTok, and I think that's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for them. I think that's great. But I'm like, the closest I get is seeing like people maybe in their 30s talking about maybe their fertility journey or whatever they're going through at that moment. And so I'm like, I like cling to it, even if I don't fully identify, again, Black bisexual girl, but even if I don't fully identify with other intersections of their personhood, I'm like, okay, that's enough for me. That's giving me something. And you guys have talked about like protecting like the lesbian spaces, but you also acknowledge that there are like bi and pan people in LSG. So how do you balance that of being like, you know, you are a woman-loving woman, but we want to make sure that this is still like contextually a very lesbian-focused
we
org.
have on all of our social medias a very, very concise like about us. And in that about us, it kind of has like a bullet point that says, you know, what if I'm bi, pan, or queer? We explicitly encourage non-lesbian queer women to come to our events. I think that I hear it a lot, all the time on the internet. Well, of course I'm gonna have a boyfriend. Women never hit on me. Men are just so much easier. Da 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 da. Like, they don't understand that it's work to be gay. So I think that having this community here and actually being able to go and experience it helps people figure out, you know, like, is this for me? Do I feel comfortable here? Do I feel almost maybe more comfortable here? Is this a chance for me to divest from men, even though I am attracted to them, just because I do live in a society where I am being overwhelmingly pushed towards them constantly? Like at the speed dating event, one of our members who's pansexual told me that she had always wanted to do a speed dating event, but she always assumed it would have to be within a heterosexual context. So just providing these spaces, making it easy for you to talk to another queer woman, I think that's, like, making it known that that's part of what this is helps. We also have a very, 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 very strict no unicorn hunting rule, and that extends to polyamorous couples. Like, I'm polyamorous. I have a wife. This is my girlfriend. However, as we say very explicitly, you should assume that none of our members want any intimate proximity with men, even within the context of a polyamorous metamor. And I do take a very intentional mental note of the local queer unicorn hunters. So
they're out there.
They're out there.
They
There's a lot
are.
of them, and I remember them all. And none of them have ever followed, which is good. Like, our information is just there on the dating app, right? So if they took it upon themselves to actually seek out community with lesbians, it'd be easy enough for us to find it. But they don't. They want to be invited in so that they can take their pick of whatever and bring it back to their little ugly boyfriend thing. Like,
Ooh, the tea is piping hot.
I'm sorry, it's Oklahoma.
Right.
It is.
It's Oklahoma. You think your unicorn hunters are bad?
It is Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Lord help
I
us.
just feel like At LSG, we're very, very, very like, if you're chill, we're chill.
Yeah.
If you know, like
If
we're
you're
very
weird,
much like,
you're
if you
weird.
question our motives, like show up and participate, kind of stuff. We're
And I mean, also on all of our flyers, it does say no boyfriend allowed.
Yes.
Leave him alone.
I love-
Leave him at home. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Do you guys have that on a T-shirt? Because you should.
no, but if we do create merch, that's one of it. So far, all we have are these little pins.
Yeah.
Which we will be giving them out at the YBR New Year's Eve karaoke party.
Plugged.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like what's the best way to say this? For the people who do show up, I think that the balance that we're able to strike with people who aren't lesbian who still want to join in, I think once you show up and you see it, the balance is pretty apparent. We're all hanging out, we're all having a good time. I think because, like you said, we're providing a space where there aren't going to be men. I think a lot of people who aren't lesbians appreciate spaces like that. The balance that we provide is you could be comfortable here as long as you're nice and you're here to celebrate the other people who are also having a good time.
Not once do conversations ever even get on the topic of men.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Like I think
Amazing.
queer women are starving for lesbian-centric spaces.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they want.
I completely agree.
I think a lot of them are looking for permission to be exclusionary
Yeah.
For sure.
towards cis men.
Yeah. I mean, I do ask about that balance because I do feel like, as someone who I do feel quite like comfortable in bisexuality, I don't want to invade like a space that is for people who very much so identify as lesbian if that's not my place. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am a woman-loving woman, but I also realize that that can be a space that's not for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want that to be something. Because I do know that there is a little bit of maybe triggering sometimes about bisexual women being in lesbian spaces sometimes. Maybe.
I think it's an issue of some people needing to understand time and place and acting accordingly, and the fact that a lesbian doesn't want to hear you rant and rave about your boyfriend also is not oppression.
No, and I would never do that,
Yeah.
ever.
I think
Really quick, I hate to interrupt the flow, but I have to use the restroom.
Go for
Point me
it.
in the direction really quick before she goes on a...
Yes, ma'am. It is. Okay. I was like, it's a long one. We'll call this a little break.
cool. I'll hold my statement
We're
still
not-
then.
I think the cameras are still going, so either way, this might be in B-roll. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Thank you guys so much again for showing up
Yeah,
and doing
no, of
this.
course.
This really is my first episode, so if it comes out, shit, I'm gonna be like, oh,
No,
sorry.
I was super excited when you sent us the message, though. It was because, I don't know, I feel like right now people are suddenly encouraged to reach out and find community.
You know, living in the Midwest can definitely be a unique experience. We definitely have our own culture, our own challenges, and our own sense of humor, believe it or not. But that's why these moments matter. We are here as a queer community to share our stories, laugh at our struggles, remember that everything is better when we can do it together. So like, subscribe, and continue to come back because we're going to have a lot more really awesome and fun guests from the queer community from all different walks of life who are going to give you their hot takes, unpopular opinions, and probably some support and validation as well. Alrighty, we're back. So I do have a couple of just like fun questions. They might be fun, maybe be triggering. We don't know. But like, I do have a couple of fun questions before we kind of like close out. I do, because I'm nosy. Who do you think is the most underrated gay icon? That's a strong starter. But I was thinking about Cynthia Erivo because of the wicked of it all. And I was like, I forget, not only is Cynthia queer, I think she's like with Lena Waithe and has been for, right?
Yes.
Literally.
I feel like I should know this because I do follow Lena on Instagram.
Well, they're very low key. I did try to fact check this in an Elle article that came out in November of 2024. But they are essentially linked, but they haven't like actually been like we're together. But they've been linked since like 2020. And Cynthia has said that she's queer publicly. And I was like, and Wicked's having its moment, and I was like, I forget that she's queer. So I was like, she's my most underrated gay icon because I'm like, I forget about her. Unfortunately. I'm sorry, Cynthia.
I'm pretty split, so I'll let you go first.
I am pop culture illiterate.
It's okay.
And I don't know who either of the people you just mentioned are. But my opinion for most underrated queer icon is me.
Period.
Yeah, I don't know who
Go
anybody on the
off.
TV is for the most part, but I think I'm cool. You can find me at Yellow Brick Road probably once a week, hanging out at the
Usually.
bar. I'll sign
Pictures do
autographs.
cost. Yes. If
Yeah.
you want an autograph, that is, like, be respectful. You
Yeah.
know, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm kind of split because I have like, I feel like my personal gay icons absolutely nobody knows about.
Ooh.
So as far as like pop culture ones, I think that Queen Latifah is an incredibly underrated gay icon. I've had like a huge crush on her since I was a kid, and I saw
Really?
her damn like makeup advertisements or whatever. Yeah, my mom would like roll her damn eyes at me. 'Cause
I'm
I'd just
dead.
Be like, she's just so pretty. She deserved this. And my mom was like, if you don't move your ass from the Walmart stand immediately. I also think that Frank, spelled Phranc, is a very underrated icon. She formed Nervous Gender. She's a pioneer in the punk genre. She was also in Catholic Discipline. You can see bits and pieces of her in the Decline of Western Civilization documentary by Penelope Spheris, which is also the director of Wayne's World. Fun fact.
Oh my God, we're learning so much.
My personal gay icons is the entire band Rock Bitch, but also specifically Julie. Okay. If you're watching this, I'm into age gaps.
This is a hit
Rock
my
Bitch
line. This is a DM.
an
LSG
amazing,
Tulsa.
like experience of a band. They're a giant polyamorous nu metal Wiccan group comprised up of lesbians and bisexual women from a variety of different backgrounds. They're based in the UK in the 90s. They moved to like a little former monastery in France. Somehow I got my hands on a digital version of their documentary, which is very hard. I'd love to screen it somewhere, but there's a lot of nudity, and I don't know enough about local obscenity laws, and I'm scared. Yeah, they are my personal gay icons. They had live sex shows. They really brought lesbian sexuality to like they put a spotlight on it in such a raw and authentic, aggressive way.
Ooh.
They wanted to
like that,
see
aggressive.
what women were like outside of societal conditioning and stuff like that. They were just, they knew who they were. They loved each other for all the differences they could bring. It's just, I think that everybody should know about them. I think they're fantastic.
That sounds like anarchy in all the best ways. Okay. Who sparked, or like celebrity, it could be a cartoon, I'm not judging, or like even a real person in real life, who kind of like sparked maybe your queer awakening a little bit? Because I feel like I have someone for essentially every category, but I'm like, what was your like, ooh, I'm a kid, but I kind of like watching this girly on screen a lot.
My first television crush was absolutely Elvira.
Such a good one.
I remember being a child in the middle of nowhere, watching an extremely fuzzy television screen, almost no reception, but there Elvira was with that really tall hair and everything else.
He said, something's happening to me.
And I've always loved her. I think I drooled on the Elvira pinball machine at the closest restaurant to me growing up. A lot. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to just do one more slightly maybe messy one. What do you feel like, because I feel like people always ask this to straight people, and I'm like, we all know that men are just kind of trash across the board, but like, what do you feel like is the worst zodiac sign to date as a woman? Like other women?
Cancers.
Right?
I'm a Sagittarius.
I'm a Sagittarius too.
I love this.
Period.
Yes.
I know. I'm inexplicably attracted to Cancers, but they are also the worst.
No, both my partners are Tauruses.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says
So
about
good.
me. But,
No, Tauruses are great.
I love a Taurus. Cancers are just so. They say they're like, oh, I'm just a big emotional baby, and I'm like, no, you're a gaslight, gatekeep,
Yes.
trip me the fuck out, girl boss type individual.
Emotional manipulation.
I
the
just
highest
need you to know
extent
what you
sometimes.
want. Just please, God, tell me what you want. I'm tired.
Yeah.
We have strong stances as Sagittarius on that. How do you feel?
I love Sagittariuses. I've dated a lot of them, actually.
Sagittariuses?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I mean, I've had a good time for the most part. You know,
What's the worst though?
As a Taurus.
You're a Taurus?
Yeah. As a Taurus, we're supposed to get along with Virgos really well. I haven't had that
Really?
experience.
You can
Okay.
work well with Tyler and Mish.
Well, I wouldn't date either one of them, though.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
No.
I think it has to be like a perfect storm because a couple of good friends of mine who literally just recently got engaged, they are like Taurus, Virgo, and you can tell that maybe they're annoyed with each other half the time, but the love usurps the annoyance,
Yeah.
I think, which is a very interesting combination. Okay.
Yeah. But my love language isn't being annoyed to shit all the time. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
T.
Yeah.
T. Okay. Wow. Do you guys have anything else for me before?
I would like to say to anybody watching who is like, ooh, this lesbian group, are they going to include me? Are they not going to include me? We are inclusive-ish. We love our trans siblings. A large percentage of our membership is trans.
I would say like overwhelmingly.
Yes. Because we're so trans accepting, we have a lot of trans people in our organization. Yeah. It's so yeah, don't worry about that. You're cool. You're welcome. Yeah.
All lesbians are valid, whether
Yeah.
you found out you were a lesbian when you were 6 or 65, whether you have kids or you don't want them, whether you want to medically transition in certain aspects to better represent your gender expression, or if you are wholly cisgendered. Like, don't ever let somebody tell you that you're not lesbian enough, or that your personal experiences as a lesbian within lesbianism are wrong, because a lot of people try to police our identities, try to police our history, and try to police our culture, but the only person that knows if you're a dyke is you.
Yeah.
Period. What they said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tori and Shuna, for coming.
Can't wait to see you at our next speed dating event.
Yeah.
I will be there because I will be single, even if it's anywho. I will be there.
You can bring one of those little microphones and ask people around.
I
things about
literally
their type.
might, because I can't help but work. I have a lot of Capricorn in my chart. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Kiki with me. Stay cute, stay queer. I'll see you in the next episode. Ciao for now. Bye. Everything LGBTQ.